When you've been fighting the forces of evil for more than half a century, it's only natural that you'll find enemies everywhere. This statement holds especially true for the iconic Kamen Riders, the first of whom appeared way back in the early 1970s. Since then, the masked vigilantes have been waging a constant war against the numerous villains that stand in their path. However, with such a long history of production, it's often difficult to keep track of the numerous kaijins who have had the misfortune of standing against our mighty heroes. But don't worry, in this marvelous video, we're going to take you through the greatest of the Riders' enemies and find out who the top 12 among them are. But before we move ahead, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can make more content like this for you in the future. It's a small click for you, but to us it means an awful lot. The Great Leader of Shocker. Longtime fans of Kamen Rider will know that there is literally no better candidate for the first spot on this list. The Great Leader was essentially built up as the final boss of the series starting from its very first installment in 1971 and retained that honor until the end of the Show era. The Great Leader initially appeared as a mysterious figure in episode 34 of the first Kamen Rider, and his identity remained a mystery for almost the entire series. In his early appearances, the nefarious leader of the scientific neo-Nazi cult Shocker was shown wearing a red capirote inspired by the outfits of the Ku Klux Klan. According to Toru Hirayama, the producer of the series, the Great Leader was once a Tibetan monk, Chen Mao, a man rumored to have the mysterious ability to bring the dead back to life. However, the monk eventually grew detached from human emotion and discovered a way to transcend his earthly form into a strange being beyond physical limitations. It's said that the Great Leader's final goal is to transform humanity into monsters, similar to his subordinate kaijins, making it easier for him to control the world's population. As an evil spirit, the infamous leader of Shocker has taken numerous forms throughout the show. For example, in the Sky Rider installment of the show, the villain appeared as a dragon, while in Kamen Rider ZX, the Great Leader took on the form of a hovering skull and called himself the Generalissimo of Badon. Apart from having an endless supply of minions, the Great Leader is also a formidable opponent in his own right. His primary ability is summoning a poison gas from his body that can knock out his enemies. The leader can also conjure fireballs to launch at his enemies and create illusions to disorient them. In the Let's Go Kamen Rider movie from 2011, the leader transformed into his strongest form yet, the Great Rock Leader. Apparently, the Great Leader is also unkillable, and we're certain that we'll see him emerge from the shadows once more in the future. Arch Orphic. For the second entry on our list, we're moving on to the Heisei era installment Kamen Rider 555, which ran from 2003 to 2004. Here, our three Kamen Riders, Phase, Keixa, and Delta, are facing a brand new antagonistic force called the Orphics. Orphics are powerful creatures that can switch between their original form and a human form, which makes them especially difficult to detect. In their human form, the Orphics are light gray in color and exhibit the characteristics of either plants or animals. They are also protected by a light exoskeleton strong enough to withstand firearms. The most dangerous of these creatures is the Arch Orphic, who takes the form of a young boy, Teruo Suzuki. Teruo had tragically died during a terrible fire accident, but was resurrected by the Arch Orphic. The boy was entrusted to an orphanage, where he started exhibiting strange behavior. Once the Orphic King completely consumed the boy, he started exhibiting power that proved challenging even for our riders. The Orphic King is one of the most overpowered villains we've seen up until this point, with powers like Orphic Creation, where he uses his tentacles to set the victim's heart on fire, superhuman might, fireball projection, finger beams, and precognition. With this diverse range of skills and abilities, the Arch Orphic has performed feats like overwhelming phase in blaster form and even resisting the powerful intense photon blood attack from the Rider. Even after his defeat in 555, the King has made countless appearances in the sequels, movies, and other forms of media associated with the franchise. The monster is portrayed by Keiichi Watanabe in his human form, while the voice acting for other forms is done by Hiroshi Yanaka. Kamen Rider 4. The Kamen Rider 4 is the titular antagonist introduced during the events of the D-Video special Kamen Rider 4, a 3-episode companion series released along with the film Superhero Tyson GP Kamen Rider 3. The plot revolves around a time loop created by Shocker that allows the villain to grow in strength every time someone dies inside the loop. To accomplish this, Shocker created a cyborg using parts recovered from the history-modifying machine. 4 is essentially a Kamen Rider in all respects, apart from the fact that he's an evil pawn in the Shocker's clutches. In combat, the evil rider can create typhoons and sky cyclones to attack its enemies and can even generate enough power in his rider kicks to face off against Drive. Although he was eventually defeated by the Riders, his mere existence was enough to prove how much of a threat an evil Kamen Rider could be to the world. Aquamizer. Our next pick appears as the main antagonist of the 2012 film War Ultimatum. The Aquamizer is a villainous trio consisting of the last three remnants of the Akuma clan. These former inhabitants of the demon world had been banished underground by humans thousands of years ago. However, they received the 5 gates from the Phantoms, which allowed the villains to grow the infinite monster plant. With the help of the plant, they received the hostile creatures Dopants, Yummy, and Zordiarts, using these creatures as their army for the war against the Kamen Riders. The Aquamizer consists of Zatan, the leader, who can utilize underworld magic. The most skilled fighter among the three is Eel. This monster is especially agile and can be especially dangerous when engaging in aerial combat. The last member is Gara, who functions as the heavy hitter of the team owing to his large physique and superhuman strength. All of these demons are extremely proficient in wielding Jankles, a rapier-like weapon which they utilize to perform the group finishing move Devil Team Attack. Evolto. Evolto, the main villain of the 2017 series Kamen Rider Build, is undoubtedly one of the strongest enemies Rider has ever faced. The extraterrestrial lifeform Evolto was born on the planet Blood. Owing to his older brother Killbus's penchant for destruction, their homeworld was destroyed. The young Evolto was able to escape, however, along with some of the last members of their race called the Blood Tribe. During his escape, Evolto was able to save an artifact known as the Pandora's Box. This mysterious artifact became the only reason Evolto could survive after a fateful encounter with Martian Queen Vernage, in which he lost his body. The villain's essence survived inside the box and made its way to Earth, where it eventually possessed the astronaut Soichi Isurugi. While inhabiting Isurugi's body, Evolto formed the Faust and began conducting nebula gas experiments. To accomplish his evil goals, Evolto possesses a wide range of different powers like possession, identity and memory manipulation, superhuman physical attributes, pyrokinesis, teleportation, and shapeshifting. Also, like every other legendary Japanese villain, Evolto is able to attain more powerful forms like Bloodstock and Camel Rider Evil over the course of the series. Evolto is voiced by Tetsuo Kano. King, as his name would suggest, is the ruler of the Fangi, a race of vampire-like monsters who were first introduced to audiences during the 2008 to 2009 run of Kamen Rider Kiva. He is also a member of the Checkmate 4, a collective formed by the most powerful specimens of the Fangire race. Together with fellow Checkmate 4 member Maya, he had fathered Taiga Nobori as his sole offspring. The king had always been detached from his family, causing Maya to drift towards the influence of Otoya Kurenai. This romance between Maya and Otoya Kurenai forms a major plot thread for the rest of this series, eventually ending with the defeat of the king at the hands of his own son, Taiga. However, the king has been resurrected and reincarnated more than a couple of times by other villains seeking to make use of the former monarch's incredible strength. The leader of the Fangire can turn into an evil version of the Rider, called Kamen Rider Kiva when pushed to his limits. This form grants King incredible physical strength and speed, along with access to his own special set of moves like Darkness Hell Crash and King's Burst N. However, there is an even more lethal trick up King's sleeve, a form known as Bat Fangire. Turning into this avatar allows the villain to grow much stronger and can even lead him to an even more dangerous berserker state. Interestingly, King was the first villain in the series to follow the famous Dark Rider motif. King is portrayed by actor Shinya Niro. Alfred. The next entry is one that I personally hate. A feral monster capable of shooting laser beams is definitely dangerous, but this next villain is the genuine embodiment of cunning and betrayal. We are, of course, talking about Alfred, the nefarious butler first introduced during the 2015 film Kamen Rider Game Gaiden. Alfred also fits into the aforementioned Dark Rider motif and can transform into Kamen Rider Tyrant when fighting more powerful enemies. Originally, Alfred served as a butler to Shapul, who was visiting Zawame City. However, Alfred's evil plans are discovered by Kaido Kumon, who is also the protagonist Kamen Rider Baron. Throughout the show, Alfred engages with Kumon multiple times and is able to hold his own against the hero. In battle, Tyrant uses weapons like the Sonic Arrow and Tyrant Blade, both of which are extremely dangerous in his proficient hands. When truly pushed to his limits, Tyrant is also capable of transforming into the Overlord Inves, which provides a significant boost to Alfred's tremendous strength. Alfred is portrayed by the Japanese actor Gaimon Kai.
今日本国から秘密飛行場に着くはずだ。ところが
Colonel Zoll. Colonel Zoll, the commander of Shocker's Near and Middle East branch, was first transferred to Japan in an attempt to boost their success in the country. As a former member of the Nazi Party, Zoll served as superior to General Monster when he was stationed in the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp. Though the colonel appears to be a normal human being, apart from the eye patch he wears over his left eye, he definitely has a few secrets. As a cyborg, Zoll possesses incredible strength and skill as a combatant. And, when faced with a truly powerful hero like our famous Rider, the Colonel can also transform into a terrifying Wolfman with missile-powered claws. Thanks to the efforts of Kamen Rider No. 2, the Wolfman was defeated in the original series, but has since reappeared in different sequels and media. The Colonel was played by Jiro Miyaguchi in the original run of the show. Dr. Shinigami. Dr. Shinigami is another iconic villain from the original run of Kamen Rider from the early 70s. He took over Shocker's forces once Colonel Zoll suffered defeat at the hands of the second Kamen Rider. As a mad genius, the Doctor is the man in charge of producing cyborgs for the villainous Nazi cult. He was once known as Ivan Towanovich, a half-Russian, half-Japanese citizen working with the Nazis during World War II. After Shinigami's sister was frozen in an unfortunate Arctic accident, the Doctor began searching for the evasive Tibetan monk Chen Mao, who possessed the power to bring the dead back to life. But we already know that Chen Mao was none other than the evil great leader of Shocker who manipulated the scientist into joining the cult. Eventually, Shinigami found himself in Europe conducting research. However, his plans were foiled by Takeshi Hongo, the first Rider. When the Doctor re-emerged in Japan, it took the combined efforts of the first two Riders to take Shinigami down. Apart from hordes of minions and Shocker combat men at his disposal, the scientist can also transform into an alternate monster form called Ika Devil. The character has been portrayed by two actors up until now, Hideo Amamoto and Hironobu Ohashi, while the voice of the Ika Devil belongs to Tadeo Furami. Dr. G. Dr. G first appeared in the third part of Kamen Rider V3. Working for Destron, Dr. G arrived in Japan to defeat the new Rider, Shiro Kazami. The Doctor looks like a medieval knight wearing full armor and usually carries a battle axe wherever he goes. The Doctor and Rider V3 faced each other in multiple locations, and on most of these occasions, Dr. G suffered a bitter defeat at the hands of his nemesis. After being cornered by the Rider and a special group of Interpol officers called Destron Hunters, Dr. G summoned the spirits of past villains and transformed into Canny Laser. In this form, the Doctor is able to shoot a deadly laser from his head and utilize magic to create darkness. When the Doctor reappeared in the Heisei era installments of the show, he assumed a new, bulkier form with a crab claw instead of a hand. Throughout the series, Dr. G has been played by actors Jotaro Senba and Tasuhiro Okudo at different points in time. Bat. A captain in Shocker's ranks, Bat first appeared in the 2005 film Kamen Rider The First. The First is a modern reimagining of the original series and features Takeshi Hongo as the titular Rider one more time. In this soft reboot, the Bat is portrayed as a cyborg with strange eccentricities. He is often tasked with abducting cyborg candidates. In his human form, Bat is portrayed by actor Kanji Suda and is always shown wearing a black cloak. His suit is equipped with large wings that allow the villain to soar in the skies and use his tiny robotic mecha bats to conduct surveillance. He is ultimately defeated by Kamen Riders 1 and 2 using a double Rider kick. Goto. The final entry on this list is the antagonist of the 2010 series Kamen Rider 000. He's an artificially created member of the zero metal-based homunculi group Greed. Goto was created when the Kogami Foundation used the Hachi, Mukadi, and Ari metals together, all of which were designed from Eiji Haino's desire for experiments. 10 years after the events of the series, Eiji is injured in a fight with the King, which allows Goto's metal to possess the Rider. When assuming the form of 000, Goto is able to accomplish astounding feats of strength and speed. He has stood his ground against not only Riders, but also the tyrannical King himself. In the Rider avatar, Goto also has access to 000's combos, namely Gatakriba, Ladoarda, and Purotira. The voice of Goto belongs to the professional voice actor Satoshi Hino. Marvelous Verdict. This list is a testament to the diverse range of opponents the different Kamen Riders have gone against. Whether it be the overwhelming strength of the Great Leader or the manipulative schemes of Alfred, it is undeniable that all of them have posed unique challenges to our heroes. As we prepare ourselves for the latest chapter of the writer's journey in Kamen Rider Gotchard, only one thing is certain. There will be many more additions to this list in the future. What did you think of the list? Did we miss out on a villain that's one of your personal favorites? Let us know in the comments down below, and maybe we'll do a villain on them in particular. That's all for today, but don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more marvelous content.